Jack Del Rio, the defense coordinator for the Washington Commanders, had some interesting comments about essentially Black Lives Matter protests that took place across the country in 2020 and the January 6th insurrection or the storm on the Capitol, whatever you want to call it, that took place in 2021. Let's talk about it. Why not? Let's talk about it. What's good people? My name is JeffLightsyJr. here with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're up over 46,000 subscribers over on the Black Boss Channel. So thank you guys so much. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, and subscribe. Jack Del Rio is a longtime NFL coach. He's been a head coach, I think, a couple of times. Jacksonville for the Raiders. And been a defense coordinator a whole even more times. And right now he's currently defense coordinator for Ron Rivera and the Washington Commanders up there in Washington, D.C. Now, let me be honest. Let me be 100% transparent. I'm not sure what the question exactly that was asked, right? I'm going to show you a video from the Recount, a Twitter page called The Recount. Which is let me be clear with you. I think it's more of it's like a liberal based news outlet on Twitter. And so obviously they have their biases. They're a liberal based, I ain't got no bias. I ain't got no dog in the fight. I'm just a black man out here in these America's streets. But I'm assuming someone asked him about, the double standards of Black Lives Matter versus January 6th. I don't even know if they asked him about that, but he brought them up. And he had some interesting comments. I'm not going to say they were dumb. I don't agree with them, but I want to take a listen and see what you guys think. And then I'll give you my 2 cents, and then, we can just go from there. So here is Del Rio. I guess this was, after practice or something. And they worded, now you got to be, you got to be realistic. Once again, this is a liberal-based news outlet. It says Washington Commanders defense coordinator Jack Del Rio says there are 2 standards between Black Lives Matter protest and January 6th. And then we'll listen to him and see what he had to say. Let's take a listen. Let me make sure. Let me know if you can hear it. Let's go. Let's tap in.
Let's get right down to it. What did I ask? A simple question. Why are we not looking into those things? If we're going to talk about it, why are we not looking into those things? Because it's kind of hard for me to say. I can realistically look at it. I see the images on TV. People's livelihoods are being destroyed. Businesses are being burned down. No problem. And then we have a dust up at the Capitol. Well, there's nothing burned down. And we're not going to talk about, we're going to make that a major deal. I just think it's kind of 2 standards. And if we apply the same standard and we're going to be reasonable with each other, let's have a discussion. Let's get right down to what did I ask?
So he made a tweet.
Simple question.
So I'm getting more backstory to it. He made a tweet about what took place on January 6th. And as you heard, he talked about essentially the Black Lives Matter protest. And people were burning down businesses. That is true. People were, destroying neighborhoods. People's livelihoods were being drastically affected. All of that is true. He ain't getting no disagreement out of me. And I never thought that stuff was cool. I understood what was taking place, but a lot of that and the highlighting of that was orchestrated by liberal media. If you've heard me talk, you've heard me say that before. How in the hell are pallets of bricks? And it took place in my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. I never thought that, I never agreed with any of that, especially with Black folks destroying businesses in their community. All of that stuff was done. I saw it, witnessed it firsthand. I'm from West Louisville, and I saw the businesses that were destroyed in the West End of Louisville because of what took place. We have one We have a food desert in the West Louisville. Let me just go ahead and give you a little something about that, and then we're going to get into more Del Rio. We have a food desert where I'm from in the West End of Louisville. It's a Kroger on 28th and Broadway. It's the only one. They had to shut the Kroger down because of all the craziness that was taking place around that time. Shut it down. It's the only place you can really go and get groceries. The only real, supplemental grocery store in the whole West Louisville. It's only one. And that got shut down and was raided and was destroyed because of what took place with all these riots. And as you know, Breonna Taylor's from Louisville, the George Floyd thing, all of it was it just kind of combusted. And I never thought that was cool. Now let's get into the tweet and everything so that way we have some more context about what actually he was defending. It says Washington Commanders defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio attracted a little attention on Tuesday by, in my opinion, falsely equating the January 6th insurrection to the 2020 protests that became in some cities riots over police violence against minorities. The team had no comment at the time. On Wednesday, the comments came directly from Del Rio via a previously scheduled press conference. In addition to pointing out that he wrote something about his tweet from Tuesday, Del Rio doubled down on his attempt to compare the two situations. And then, go on to hear what we just heard. January 6th. Now, what Del Rio messed up was calling it a dust up. That's where he messed up. It wasn't no damn dust up. It was some crazy folks, depending on how extreme you looked at it. But it was some crazy folks doing some crazy stuff. And ultimately, people died. That don't sound like a dust up. Ultimately, people died. Now, they were rioters. They were people that was actually storming the Capitol. But that don't mean that they deserve to die. You know what I mean? Like, they don't mean, like people died from this dust up. That's where he messed up. That, like, if you don't believe me, this is according to the New York Times. According to the New York Times, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. As a pro-Trump, this is just a quick article from earlier this year. It says, as a pro-Trump protest turned into a violent attack on the Capitol January 6th last year, 4 people in the crowd died. So that's not a dust-up. And officers were attacked. Officer Brian D. Sicknick of the Capitol Police was attacked by a mob and died in the days and weeks after. So actually, in the days and weeks after the riot, 5 police officers who had served at the Capitol on January 6th died. So that's not a dust up. We're talking, nearly 10 deaths, according to the New York Times. So that's where he sounded silly. Don't get me wrong. There's protest, and then there's just stupidity and dumb stuff. Breaking into businesses, stealing, destroying your neighborhood. It's not no fucking protest. I excuse my French, but that ain't no damn protest. That is just being stupid. That is just taking advantage of a moment. That makes you a bad guy. That makes you a bad guy. So in the media, let's not tweak. Both liberal and conservative highlighted this. Liberal media made it seem like it was okay. Liberal media kind of praised it. And I think this is what Del Rio was saying. He was saying, I'm not defending because he called January 6th the dust up. It wasn't no damn dust up. But liberal media did highlight a lot of the foolishness. Now, granted, there were some peaceful protests that took place. There were some real stuff that took place that was effective in some ways. But then there was a lot of foolishness. And they tried to crossbreed both of them, act like both of them was actually good things. Going in and destroying your neighborhood, going in and destroying black-owned businesses, going in and destroying things and keeping people from being able to eat because there's food deserts in some areas across this country, including the West Louisville where I'm from, and where some of the biggest protests took place in this country happened right in Louisville. That's not good. That's not good. But it was highlighted as if it was good. And I would say that to anybody. And I know some of the people that was out there. That shit wasn't cool. It was not cool. I said it then. I'll say it now. It was never good. Del Rio's right on that part. Where Del Rio messed up and where I disagree. And he made it seem like January 6th was cool. That shit wasn't cool neither. Like you can say both are wrong. Both were wrong. Now I'm not, and the thing is, if you're a Trump supporter or if you're a Biden supporter, whatever, a Black Lives Matter supporter, I'm not saying you're a bad person. I might not agree with you on a lot of stuff, whether you love Joe Biden, whether you love the Black Lives Matter organization, or whether you love Trump or whatever. We can just agree to disagree. I don't give a damn about none of that. I can give my opinion, but I'm not too pressed on either issue. Those people don't bother me. I don't bother them. But to act like one was okay and the other wasn't, that's where Del Rio was wrong. To say it was just a dust up when multiple people died, that's just not true. But if you are at home, especially as a Black person, to act like the destroying of your neighborhoods, to act like the destroying of your businesses, to act like the livelihoods of these people, some of these business owners in certain cities like Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from, was okay, that's not true either, because that wasn't okay. And that honestly pissed me off a lot more. You want me to be honest, as a Black man, what took place in some of these neighborhoods, specifically the inner cities of some of these, some of these cities where these protests were taking place, like the West End Louisville being destroyed, that pissed me off a lot more than anything that took place on January 6th. And I'm going to be honest with you. The destroying of my community where I grew up, because I can speak specifically for Louisville, the destroying of the West Louisville where I grew up, that pissed me off a lot more than anything that happened on January 6th. Not saying what happened on January 6th was right. Not to say that was cool. That wasn't cool. People died. They stormed the Capitol building in the United States of America and was able to do it. That wasn't cool at all. And people lost their lives. But what took place in my community and what took place with Black businesses in my community and the destroying of where I grew up pissed me off a lot more. What Del Rio was Del Rio was ignorant in what he said. It was just stupid. It was a bad comment. I don't disagree with him though, because a lot in this way, I don't disagree with him in this way. A lot of media glorified, and that's really what was trying to say. It was dumb. It was flagrant. He shouldn't get fired. He's not gonna get fired for that because that has nothing to do with football. But what the problem may be, and what could possibly, what's the best way? He could possibly lose a couple of guys on his team because a couple of guys may not feel like those comments were appropriate. And I don't think they were appropriate to compare them and saying and kind of uplifting one and putting down the other when they both were just bad. That's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. To uplift one, and he didn't necessarily uplift it. He just made light of it, called it a dust up. To me, that's making light of it. When people died, when you stormed the Capitol, like the capital of the United States, when, you know what I mean? Like, this is the government and people want, they want protection and they want all these things and they want, they get upset with certain things, but then you think it's okay to go storm the government, storm the capital of the United States of America because you didn't get the results you wanted. Whether I agreed with whether, the count was real or fake votes, fake ballots, or whatever, whether I think that was true or not, I ain't gonna never try to storm the Capitol on some stuff like that. Nah. And like I said, then to have police officers who lost their lives and even protesters that lost their lives, it's not a dust up. You're making light of what took place. But don't think that stuff that took place with the burning and destroying of the businesses and hometowns was cool either, because it wasn't. It wasn't. Del Rio just messed up by making light of one and trying to put down the other. They both were stupid. They both weren't right. Now, can you be upset because you think an election, whether it's true or not, do you have the right to be upset if you think an election was stolen or was fake or there's fake votes or whatever? Yeah, you can be upset. There's a way of handling that. Just like you can be upset with police brutality and systematic racism and white supremacy that takes place in this country. And protest the killing of unarmed black people. Yes, you can be upset with both. There's a way to handle both, though. Destroying businesses, and especially black-owned businesses in black neighborhoods, that's not how you handle it. Storming the Capitol, it's not how you handle it. Del Rio messed up. He tweaked. I am interested to see how the commanders react to this, because there already is. This just happened. There was a ton of backlash after the tweet. Apparently, there's going to be way more backlash because you actually hear him say these words after this, because that was just stupid. That was really stupid to compare them. I don't disagree that there was media glorifying the protest and the riots. Some of that shit wasn't no damn protest. Niggas was out here, excuse my language, but people were out here stealing stuff that ain't had nothing to do with no damn protest in black neighborhoods from black businesses. There was nothing about no protest about that. That was just people being ignorant. Just like there was people being ignorant, storming the Capitol with Confederate flags and all this white supremacy lingo, white supremacy kind of rhetoric going on. They were both bad, just in different ways. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting, because the NFL wants no parts of this kind of stuff. The NFL thought they got rid of a lot of this stuff once Cap kind of faded away post-COVID. The numbers and, tickets and all this stuff has been through the roof. They've kind of treaded lightly on big topics. They've went full in on the whole Black Lives Matter movement and stuff. Whether you think they're hypocritical or not, whether you think they're genuine or not, they've steered clear, and it's done well for their ratings. They've steered clear, and it's done well for their public image. They've steered clear, got the G-Funk Super Bowl with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and whether you think they're pandering or not, in 50 Cent and Eminem and Mary J. Blige for the Super Bowl, first hip-hop Super Bowl halftime. Whether you think they're pandering or not, that's a different topic for a conversation. But they've steered clear and tried to appease their black audience in a lot of ways with, after post 2020, because 2020, a lot of businesses, a lot of high level companies tried to change and try to indoctrinate black culture and black things into their stuff. And that includes the NFL going into a G-Funk hip hop Super Bowl halftime, right? And it's helped them a lot. So to have this kind of creep back in, now granted it's just one team, but that's all it takes is one team, because it's going to start a topic of conversation. Some people are going to agree with Del Rio's goofy comments. Right? There's going to be a portion of the country that actually agrees with this foolishness. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of detractors like myself and others. Like, man, hell no, that's not true at all. Like, that's a dumb comparison. But, this is what the NFL didn't want. On top of the Deshaun Watson stuff with women, they didn't want to get back into this whole racism, white supremacy stuff. And they thought they were out of the business of that stuff. We'll see what happens because of it. But this was something interesting that I wanted to talk about. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, my name is JeffLightsyJr with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Subscribe to the Black Boss Channel there. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7, on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.